Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this Planning Corporate Services meeting of the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Kincardine to order. It is 5 p.m. on Monday, July 13th, 2020, and we're here in the council chambers electronically. As mayor, I'm here at the Municipal Administration Center, and usually our clerk is here. I just wanted to say, first of all, tonight, that tonight was to be our clerk, Donna McDougall's last meeting before her official retirement. Unfortunately, she's unable to be here tonight. We all really appreciate the work she's done for us over the years and her dedication, and I'm sure we will acknowledge her contributions to the municipality of Kincardine at a later date. So we will go to the roll call, and for members of council, we have myself, and I will do the roll call with Deputy Mayor Marie Wilson.
Present.
And Dave Tyler will be here in about 10 minutes. And Jerry Glover.
Present.
Laura Haight.
Here.
Doug Kennedy.
Present.
Randy Ropel.
Present.
And Bill Stewart.
Present.
Okay.
I'm present too. I lost myself for a minute. I'm back.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
All right, great. And so for staff present, we have Sharon Chambers, our CAO.
Present.
And Jen Laurie, our Deputy Clerk.
Present.
Roxana Bauman, Treasurer, Director of Finance.
Present.
Michelle Barr, Director of Building and Planning.
Present.
Karen Kiefer, Director of Parks and Recreation.
Present.
Kevin McNeely, Fire Chief.
Present.
And Adam Weiser, Director of Public Works.
Present.
Good. So I think later we will have somebody from the county joining us. Planner, who is it? Daniel is joining us later from the county. Okay, Daniel, great. Are there any amendments, additions, or deletions to or from the agenda?
Moved by Marie Wilson, seconded by Doug Kennedy, that council approve the following addition to the agenda. 1:12, reason for closed, purpose for considering a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality, acquisition of land. And 2, in the closed meeting agenda, item 4.3, acquisition of land.
So sorry, is it just 1:12 both open and closed, or just one?
Yeah.
Both open and closed. Okay. And it'll be on committee of the whole. No, council.
It's closed meeting. The reason for going into closed and then in closed meeting.
Oh, so it's only closed.
Yes.
Okay. All right, any further questions from council? We'll have the vote then if there's no more questions.
Okay, Couture.
Yes.
Kyler. Oh, not here, sorry. Edie.
Yes?
Glover.
Yes.
Haight.
Yes.
Kennedy.
Yes.
Ropel.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
And the motion carried. Does anybody have a disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof for the council agenda tonight? Seeing none, we'll go to public meeting number 4. So it's moved by, I'll let you go ahead, Jen.
Yep, it's moved by Maureen Couture, seconded by Jerry Glover, that council move into public meeting to hear a proposed zoning amendment.
And we'll take the vote.
Kyler.
Yes.
Couture.
Yes.
Glover.
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Ropel,
Yes.
Haight,
Yep.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
And the motion carried. So I'm going to call this public meeting of the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Kincardine to order. And it's 5:05 p.m. on July 13th, 2020. We have the same council and staff here for public meeting. Are there any amendments, additions, or deletions to or from this agenda? Hearing none, I'm going to ask for disclosure of pecuniary interest, and I have one. So my pecuniary interest doesn't pertain to this particular property, but my husband and I have a minor business agreement with Bruce Lee Poultry Farms. So I'm declaring on that, and I'm asking our deputy mayor to take over now for the item involved on the public meeting agenda. So I'll turn it over to you, Marie.
Okay, thanks, Mayor Edie. So we'll ask, Daniel Kingsbury, the municipality's planner, to give us the report. Is he online?
Yes, I am online here, just struggling with the buttons. There we go.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and good evening, members of council. This is an application for a zoning bylaw to prohibit future residential uses on the retained portions of a farmland property. So these, of course, are maybe fairly routine to members of council now. Just before we get started, I'll advise anyone who's interested in receiving notice on this matter to contact the clerk's department to receive the notice. So that's clerk@kincardine.ca, and they would be happy to provide add you to our registry, and we'll provide you the notice decision if you're interested. So in summary, the lands are located at 5119 Highway 9, just outside of Kincardine. They are approximately 59 hectares in size. The applicant is Bruce Lee Farms, a bona fide farmer, and the residence is surplus to their needs. So they're proposing to sever approximately 1.6 acres of property, residential property, off from the farmland. And of course, the provincial policies require us to rezone the retained lands to prohibit future residential uses. And this is to maintain the integrity of the county's agricultural system. So without getting too into the weeds, in terms of the policy framework, the applicant meets all the requirements for surplus residential farms, including, as I mentioned, they are a bona fide farmer. Of note, with this particular zoning bylaw amendment, areas of the property do exhibit high archaeological potential due to their proximity to a water course. So through the zoning bylaw amendment, we put a holding provision on those lands, or we're proposing a holding provision on those lands that exhibit high archaeological potential. And the holding provision doesn't prevent or restrict agricultural activities, but would be required to be addressed should proponent propose development within that area, requiring a building permit. So that's the application in a nutshell. I'd be happy to take any questions from members of council or if required.
Okay. Just thanks, Daniel. I'm just wondering, do we have? Does the applicant wish to make any kind of presentation? Okay, I'm not hearing any response, so I'll assume not. And is there any member of the public that would like to make a comment? Okay, then now we'll open it up to council. And Laura, Councillor Haight, I see you've got your hand up.
Dan, there's a question from Barbara Wallace with respect to the hazard area at the back of the property and trees. Is there any protections for that, or is that, what is the zone of that back half?
Yes, did receive a question. I understood the question, if I can just bring it up here. Yeah, so I think they were, questioning the trees along Bruce Road 7. And I did respond and offered to reach out to the applicant. But to the best of my knowledge, there's no plans to cut down any trees. This is sort of a simple land tenure process in terms of creating a new property, and the operations will continue much the same as they have in the past on the lands. The member of the public was Ms. Wallace was satisfied with that answer and didn't seek clarification from the applicant.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Bill, Councillor Stewart?
Dan, I'm looking at the actual hand drawing of the building in the house, and it says no other buildings. When I start looking at the aerial image, I see 2 or 3 other buildings. I'm a little confused. It's just not a house. It looks like there's a barn and a garage and everything else. So I'm a little confused when the hand drawing says just the house, no other buildings. So are we severing just the house, or are the other buildings coming with it?
Dan, you're on mute.
Yeah,
There.
thanks. Sorry, I'm back here. Yeah, so the photo is from 2015, so there may be changes on the property. I understand the barn is not to go with the retained buildings. Now, I'm not able to verify if the barn is still in place or it's going to be deconstructed, but it's not part of the building cluster that's going forward through the residential lot creation. Often these barns are deconstructed. That looks to be a drive shed. I'm not sure is still on the property as of today. Again, that's a 2015 photo, so there might be a bit of a difference in terms of that smaller structure, that smaller drive shed that's closer to the building.
Okay, I just wanted to ask, because it was a little different with the hand drawing versus the aerial photography. Thank you.
Hey, Councillor Kyler? You're on mute.
The only thing that is left there is an old stone house. The barn is gone, the shed is gone. There is nothing else except a house left there, and it's very old. So I would assume that it'll likely come down and be demolished.
Thanks, Dave.
If that helps anybody.
Yep.
Okay. Any other comments or questions for Dan? Okay, well, thank you very much for your report. We won't be making a decision in the public meeting, and we will move back into our regular meeting. So thanks again. So can we get a motion for adjournment from the public meeting?
Sure.
Do we have one? We probably have one already, I would think.
do, and it was Dave Kyler.
Wow,
And ironically, he read my mind. And seconded by Maureen Couture, that this public planning meeting adjourn at 5:14 p.m. And Glover?
Yes.
Haight?
Yes.
Kennedy?
Yes.
Ropel?
Yes.
Stewart?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Couture?
Yes.
Kyler?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion has carried. So we'll go back to item 5, matters arising from the public meeting.
So that is moved by Bill Stewart, seconded by Randy Ropel, that the amendment to the comprehensive zoning bylaw 2003-25, 5119 Highway 9 be deemed to be read a first, second, and third time, finally passed and numbered as bylaw 2020-101.
Okay, can we have the vote?
Yep. Haight,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Ropel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Couture,
Yes.
Kyler,
Yes.
Glover.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. And I see Mayor Edie's back in her chair, so I'm going to pass it over to Mayor Edie. Give her a minute to get ready. Okay, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So we're back to consideration of motions and consideration of bylaws, which I don't see any tonight. So we'll move into committee of the whole.
So moved by Laura Haight, seconded by Doug Kennedy, that council move into committee of the whole and upon completion return to council.
And we'll take the vote on that.
Kennedy?
Hmm.
I think you were muted there, Doug.
Yes.
Ropel?
Yes.
Stewart?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Couture?
Yes.
Kyler?
Yes.
Edie?
Yes.
Glover?
Yes.
Haight?
Yes.
And the motion carried. So I'm going to call this committee of the whole meeting of the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Kincardine to order at 5:17 p.m. on Monday, July 13th, 2020. And Councillor Kyler has joined us. So for roll call for this committee, he has joined us now. Are there any amendments, additions, or deletions to or from this agenda for committee of the whole? Does anybody have a disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof for committee of the whole? Seeing none, I'll move to adoption of the minutes of the committee of the whole meetings.
Moved by Randy Ropel, seconded by Laura Haight, that the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting held on July 6, 2020 be adopted as printed. So Couture,
Yes.
Kyler,
Yes.
Edie,
Yes.
Glover,
Yes.
Haight,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Ropel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
And the motion carried. Next, we have reports. Number 7 on the agenda, 7.1 corporate services. The COVID-19 declared emergency report, and our CAO Sharon Chambers will provide a verbal update on the COVID-19 and emergency. So welcome, Sharon.
Thank you, Mayor Edie, and good evening, members of council. As you know, the province of Ontario announced the stage 3 reopening today. And as I had mentioned earlier, the staff has not really had an opportunity to review or discuss the details in the announcement. So we are going to have to review that and report back on how that impacts the municipality and our reopening at a future meeting. It is my understanding that elements of that will come into effect on July 17th, and there are other elements that will come into effect later on. It does increase the indoor gathering limits to a maximum of 50 people, outdoor gathering limits to a maximum of 100 people. It's still subject to physical distancing requirements. And there are other details around restaurants and being able to eat indoors. And as I said, we haven't really had a chance to review those, so we will certainly do so and report back to council. In light of this stage 3 opening, we certainly will look at expediting our plans to reopen the municipal office. and get staff working. And we did have a meeting this morning to discuss how that will evolve. We will have to look at bringing staff back, training them on the protocols, and making those announcements to staff on what it looks like before we would be ready to open to the public. So we do ask for the public's patience as we work through these details and be able to put a plan in place that is for the protection of both staff and the public as we reopen our municipal facilities. Mary Edie and I did participate in a call with Dr. Era and Bruce County officials last Friday. And Dr. Era did advise the group that his order regarding mandatory face coverings was going to come into effect with the stage 3 opening. At that time, he anticipated probably a 10-day timeline. And I think he probably anticipated that his order would be coming out in advance of the stage 3 opening, and it would come into effect when that provincial announcement was made. So I think Premier Ford has beat him to the punch, and we have not seen Dr. Era's order. So I would anticipate that he would put a timeline on implementing that when it is released. And I do not believe any other staff members have an update this evening. As we indicated, we just need to look at what stage 3 looks like and how that's going to impact us. So I would be happy to answer any questions from members of council.
Does anybody have any questions for Sharon? No questions tonight? So we'll anticipate more information on stage 3 as you get it, Sharon, and get it organized, and the province probably will have other things as well. So if that's all for that tonight.
Mary Edie?
Yes.
Sorry, I was muted the whole time and I'm saying, Mary Edie, Mary Edie.
Oh, okay,
Sorry. I'm just wondering that in view of the fact we're not going to have another council meeting this month and the stage 3 is starting on Friday, that maybe we could have a special council meeting just to brief us on the stage 3 municipal impacts, just that only, not anything else on the agenda, so that we're all up to speed with the public.
Sharon, did you want to say anything? Well, we could
yes,
consider it when you're ready.
Yeah, I think we do have a number of staff positions that are currently vacant that need to be filled. And so I did speak to Mary Edie today about the possibility of holding a special meeting, and we could certainly incorporate some of our reopening plans into that if council felt that that is appropriate to hold a special meeting, since we do have a shortened meeting schedule during the summer and it's difficult to deal with these things in a timely manner. You know, we're not used to having a pandemic situation in our shortened summer schedule. So
that would be appreciated. Thanks.
Probably wouldn't be next week, maybe in a couple of weeks or whenever staff can get organized for that.
Yeah, we would appreciate a couple weeks to get our plans together. So looking not next week, but into the following week for a special meeting if council was agreeable to that. And we could poll council for appropriate dates, as we do understand you may have made some summer plans knowing that our schedule is lighter in the summer.
Okay, thank you. Next, we go to 7.1B, COVID-19 financial implications. So we'll turn it over to Roxana for her report.
Okay, thank you. So staff previously provided a preliminary assessment of financial implications associated with COVID back in May 2020. As the situation with the pandemic evolves, the financial impact is continually reviewed and monitored. So this report will provide an update on the financial impact to the municipality's operating budget, assuming that the current social distancing measures remain in place until August 31st of this year. The current forecast to August 31st estimates a loss of revenue of nearly $975,000 offset by expense reductions of $828,000, resulting in a projected net budgetary loss of $147,000. The forecasted net loss as at June 30th, which was reported to council, was originally estimated at $218,000. So therefore, we are trending a more favorable projection by about $71,000. And the details are provided in Schedule A as an attachment to the report. With respect to the Recreation Department revenues, so the municipality is estimating revenue losses of about $542,000 relating to the closure of facilities such as parks, pools, arenas, and the community center. The most significant source of the lost revenue is due to the cancellation of recreational programming, which is estimated at $295,000 in revenue losses. The majority of this is due to the cancellation of summer camp, which represents 59% of the total revenue loss, followed by fitness and aquatic programs, which represent 29% of the revenue loss. Recreation facility closures represent $234,000 and primarily include health club membership fees and pool admission fees. And these revenue losses are expected to continue until the crisis is over. With the closure of recreation facilities and canceled programming, there are also offsetting expenditure reductions that have been projected in order to quantify the total budgetary impact. So excluding labor costs, and that's discussed further in the report, total cost reductions amount to $167,000, resulting mainly from decreased energy consumption and fewer purchases of supplies and materials. So combined, this amounts to an unfavorable budget impact of $375,000. However, when you factor in labor costs, and there's a slight modification to this report, the number was incorrect. When labor costs are included in the calculation of the total recreation and parks budget, the result is a favorable budgetary impact of $144,000. So the report initially said 320, that was a typo, it's 144. For waste management, the landfill sites, as you know, were closed to residential property owners in March, however, has since reopened in June 2020. Revenue losses resulting from the closure as well as from the reduction in construction activity have been forecasted to be $155,000. There's also a forecasted reduction in contracted disposal costs of $20,000. However, this is offset by an increase in costs related to the temporary compost center that was opened up of $42,000. Including labor cost savings, the total unfavorable impact of the landfill closures amounts to $174,000 up to the end of August. With respect to building permits, staff have reviewed the building permits and related activity and since the previous staff report and have not made any further revisions to the forecasted revenue losses due to a reduction in local construction activity. Building permit revenues were estimated to decrease by 30% and plumbing and occupancy permits by 25%, as well as an overall 10% decrease for other administrative fee revenues relating to building. And so combined, this equates to a total revenue loss of $117,000 up to the end of August. Now, with respect to property taxes and utilities, staff have reviewed the preliminary impact resulting from providing the financial relief to ratepayers of waiving the interest on 2020 taxes, as well as allowing opting out of pre-authorized payment plans. So a comparison was made for the total taxes billed of the first two installments and the taxes outstanding, and compared to the prior year, we are pretty much right on par. In 2020, we had 11.7% in unpaid taxes compared to 11.4% in the prior year. So the data is showing that collections are very comparable to the prior year. Staff have also been tracking the waived interest and penalties and statement fees for property taxes and utilities. And thus far for April, May, and June, the total amounts to just over $50,000. Original estimates of the foregone interest for the months from April to July were $85,000, and based on the actuals to date, we feel that this continues to be a reasonable estimate going forward. With respect to the expenditures, there are specific COVID-19 related expenses that as of June 30th amounted to $72,000, and they consisted primarily of overtime wages as well as IT purchases for laptops. Other costs included the 12,000 Meals on Wheels contribution, which I believe Councillor Kennedy indicated that he hasn't spent that much to date yet, so that's good. There's cleaning products, sanitation wipes, disposable masks and gloves, as well as new signage and traffic barriers, all included in the $72,000. These costs are expected to continue in the near term and are estimated to reach $107,000 by August 31st. Previously, we had estimated them to reach 104,000 by June 30th, so we are lower than anticipated. Labor impacts are also provided in this report. As you know, the permanent, part-time, seasonal, contract, and casual employees who held positions directly impacted by the closures have been placed on unpaid declared emergency leave effective March 20th. Initially, all seasonal contract employees with start dates in April and May were deferred, and all employment opportunities advertised online were placed on hold with no new offers of employment extended to give the municipality the opportunity to evaluate our needs. And there were some service level decisions that were made where we allowed the hiring with start dates in June or July, and those mainly are summer students, and that's provided in the report following. With the decision made to cancel summer day camp, there were a number of employment offers that were rescinded for program coordinators, day camp supervisors, and day camp leaders, but there were also additional unbudgeted expenses for splash pad attendance, which impacted the total savings. So overall, the labor cost savings would amount to $648,000 up to the end of August, assuming the status quo. There are also additional building maintenance costs that were expected to be reduced, as was previously reported, as well as conferences and travel and a reduction in office supplies. So there's no significant changes to estimates for that. So overall, the conclusion is that the anticipated impact to the municipality would be about $147,000 up to the end of August. However, we will, as things change and as new announcements are made by the province, we will be continuing to review this to see what the impact will be going forward.
Okay, thank you, Roxana. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Roxana? Yes, Councillor Stewart.
Of course, it's a financial thing. Excellent report, good details, everything's great. It really is amazing that our municipality is doing so well. A lot of the other ones aren't doing as well. I'm really sorry to hear that, the summertime students didn't get hired. It's unfortunate, but overall, we're in excellent shape. And Roxana, by the end of the year, you're going to probably tell us there's no impact on the budget at all, but well done and well managed. Thank you very much, Sharon, and your staff.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you, Roxana. It's good to keep up to date. You get councillors and mayor get asked that question from time to time, so we're managing very well so far. 7.1C is the request for proposal for the digital transformation strategy, and I go back to Sharon for this.
Thank you, Mayor Edie. The municipality of Kincardine received $60,000 under the Municipal Modernization Fund to hire a third-party consultant to develop a digital transformation strategy. The purpose of that strategy is to develop a plan for the municipality to improve our service delivery and find efficiencies through digitization. And there are a number of activities that we'll be undertaking through this strategy. And that is really going to be to assess all of our existing software platforms and determine whether they're being used to their full capacity and eliminate any redundancies. We spend a lot of money on software costs each year. And, we feel that there are opportunities to maximize the use of those software platforms and potentially eliminate some of them because there may be some duplication. And we want to look at process improvements and see if we can make any improvements through digitizing our processes. We will be engaging with stakeholders, which will include staff and council and the public, to identify what our existing challenges are and new opportunities for digital services. And then we also need to look at what training we would need to do internally to ensure that we're able to proceed with digitizing, and also change management initiatives to really create a digital culture within the organization. So we had an excellent response to this RFP. It closed on June 26th, and we did receive 15 submissions, and 2 proposals were received after the deadline, and we did not consider them. We had an evaluation team that consisted of myself and Roxana as the treasurer and Shelby Clancy, our financial analyst. And they were evaluated based on quality and completeness, experience, reputation, project methodology, and price. And based on our analysis, we are recommending that we award to Perry Group Consulting Limited. We feel that they are very experienced with municipal projects and will do an excellent job. The project did come in under the budgeted amount of $60,000, so it's $39,368 plus HST. And so we are hoping to have a conversation with Perry Group to see if there is an opportunity to do additional work to use up those funds that we were allotted under the funding program, which may advance the implementation of our plan, so we can report back to council if perhaps we can increase the scope of our work in any way to utilize those funds. So I am recommending award to Perry Group. And I'd be happy to answer any questions from council.
Any questions for Sharon? Okay, seeing none, the recommendation is there that council awards the request for proposal for a digital transformation strategy to Perry Group Consulting Limited in the amount of $39,368 plus HST, and that the mayor and CAO are authorized to sign the necessary documentation. I'll turn it over to Jen.
Okay, that was moved by Bill Stewart, seconded by Marie Wilson. So Kyler,
Yes.
Edie,
Yes.
Glover,
Yes.
Haight,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Ropel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Couture.
Yes.
And the motion carried. Next, we go to 7.2A. And this is regarding regarding Birchwood Avenue access and the resident feedback update. And this is from Public Works. So Adam, can you join us now?
Yes, thanks, Meredy.
Okay.
The report that the mayor has touched on is essentially a summary from the feedback we have received from the residents. So taking a step back, on May 4th, we brought a report to council advising of a property owner that has an issue with access and a possible method to correct that. Within that, we did advise of the steps that we would be looking to take. And prior to taking those steps, indicated to council that we would be reaching out to the neighborhood to gain their feedback to understand what concerns they may have with the change. And with that, essentially, this FYI report summarizes those details. So we did prepare a letter early May, so just after the council meeting that was sent out on the 12th, with comments due back on the 1st of June, which was just shy of 3 weeks for, I guess, opportunity for people to receive their letter and provide feedback. So with that, we did receive responses from 16 residents, so not 16 people that may occupy the same dwelling. From my understanding, it was 16 specific property owners, and those comments varied in terms of nature. Some were generally just opposed, with no context to the opposition. Others noted concerns, risks, and why they were opposed. So I tried to highlight those to council within the bullet areas of the report. So with this, and I do know that there was some other communication that council received today. So I just wanted to highlight that the intent of today's report was to give council a summary of the feedback we did receive, allow me to speak on how I feel we could possibly mitigate or alleviate the concerns that were noted, and possibly still consider looking at an entrance for the applicant. If at any time we can't resolve issues and we feel that they are too significant, then naturally we wouldn't proceed. So with the, I guess, details within the report, one of the primary concerns that we heard consistently from the residents relates to the existing stagecoach trail. It's my understanding from the feedback that was received and from talking to people that there is an existing trail there that residents are met with opposition of use from the current applicant and adjacent landowner. And I think the first and foremost, regardless of what is done with the driveway, There needs to be some attention through conducting a survey with the Ontario Land Surveyor to confirm the location of the trail, the location of existing dwellings, etc., and validate where public and private lands do exist. So that way we can detail that information back to the public factually, and then hopefully come to a resolution on an opportunity for people to utilize that trail section. The next piece that that was noted is that people are concerned that they feel the driveway is the initial step to future development of that parcel. While that may be a valid concern to have, I do think it's important to note to the public that any development, regardless of this location or others, do follow a scrutinized process, provincial process that does involve engagement of the public, and any of the concerns that they have within access being granted through possibly a connection through Birchwood would come out through that process, and possibly even to a point where either the development wouldn't be allowed to proceed, or they would have to come up with an alternative access arrangement. So I do feel that it's certainly a valid thing to point out. I think some education to all of the residents in that area on the process would go a long ways to hopefully alleviate in the short term the concerns they have. Another related to speed of people, whether it be the applicant themselves or others in the area. So I think, we can continue to try and educate people of the posted speed limits and what they're supposed to be driving down there in that area. The next one is the driveway limits to be confirmed. So there's two adjacent property owners to the municipal blocks, and we would certainly engage with those individuals after a point where we do have a survey completed. I think it's important for us to establish any of the property bars and to be able to meet on site to actually point out any of the locations and considerations that we're dealing with. So I'm confident that we would be able to address the driveway limits in terms of needs and where it is and how it either will or will not impact adjacent properties. The next one that was noted was public access and concerns with it being impacted with the driveway being placed here. In my opinion, I think, I heard loud and clear through the comments received, and had heard comments in the past as well, that public access now is certainly impacted. So I think it's important to note that conducting a survey and clearly establishing where the boundaries are would certainly go a long way to educate all parties involved, and that should address current and future access concerns from being impacted. I think actually it will alleviate some of the issues. And the last one that was noted indicated that a number of people feel that the current property owner or applicant, that they do have access coming from concession 7. So, in a sense, there is some validity to that. So there was an existing access. However, it encroached through an adjacent property that at one time there was I guess if I refer to the term, a gentleman's agreement to allow or permit that use. However, I'm of the understanding that those two parties no longer are in agreement to that, and furthermore that the existing driveway or access point that is there has washed out through some of the storm events and runoff coming from the topography of the land. So we haven't walked to confirm that because it is private land, but that is, I guess, some of the rationale in terms of us of the understanding that concession 7 no longer has an access to the parcel. And furthermore, if we are going to be able to proceed with granting access from Birchwood, I think it would be important to note within the documents that it would be conditional upon that existing access being eliminated. So that essentially summarizes the concerns that we heard from the 16 respondents. Again, a number of those parties did not indicate why they were opposed. There was very few that weren't opposed. Some of them simply stated that if things such as the trail could be rectified, they would be willing to, not approve, but be supportive of the change. So moving forward and going back to the May 4th report, we did come forward to council with a suggested path forward and a request to proceed in that fashion. And that was for the purpose of hiring a land surveyor to conduct the survey and establish the limits of the existing block B. Two, it also allowed me to go out and obtain quotes both from legal and from land surveyors to then present that back to the applicant, as those costs would be covered by them. Now, I am suggesting to council that through our operating budget, we do complete additional survey work to once and for all confirm the exact limits of the stagecoach road allowance, the location of the buildings, etc. And that way we can clearly communicate and educate all people involved. So that summarizes the details ahead within the report for council.
Okay, thank you, Adam. And you didn't make any recommendations, just for clarity for council.
Correct. So going back to the May 4th meeting, we did have a recommendation at that time. I still stand behind that recommendation that council did support at that meeting, and I do think that through the information I've been able to share here tonight, that we can further convey that directly to the residents, and hopefully through the process of conducting surveys before we get to a point where we actually physically grant any entranceway to the property owners from Birchwood, that we take those facts and actually sit down with the parties that are impacted, or share those details with them to make everyone understand on either the impacts or what benefits and changes may come from all of this work.
Okay, thank you, Adam. My memory just isn't quite good enough. Was doing the survey included in that recommendation that we okayed back in May?
Yeah, so part of I guess the scope that I brought to council, the existing block B, which is public land, we suggested to council that we get a surveyor involved. We look at separating that block into two parts. One would remain access to the lake for public pedestrian access. The other would become road allowance that we could then grant an entrance permit onto. And with that, then it also would include any of the legal work involved to bring it to a point of registry and having a bylaw to declare that section as road allowance.
Okay, thank you, Adam. So the reports for information, does anybody have any questions for Adam regarding it?
I'd just like to thank Adam for those great details, because we did receive an email today, and I am confident that you will be addressing their major concerns, and I totally support the survey to clarify those for the public and the owner.
Anyone else? Councillor Stewart?
Thank you very much, Mary D. Adam, excellent report. Adam and I have been working at this with the residents and the applicant and trying to figure this out. As you can see, there's lots of issues. We're trying to go through each issue. I think there was a lot of excitement from the residents when they read this in the agenda and thought that we were going to grant access. And I just told them that we need to start moving towards at least getting the surveys and understanding. The stagecoach trail has got to be understood by all. I live down near the water. People don't quite understand that there is an access right along the water. So we'll be dealing that at a later moment. But what we're doing tonight is just voting, as Marie said, or as Maureen said, we're just voting to move ahead with the surveys and get more information. Good news is because stage 3 will be able to have a few general open meetings with the residents and the applicants in the future. And we should have I'm hoping to have a resolution that we can bring back to council for a vote, whether they're going to get the entrance or not. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So as I understand it, correct me, Adam, but that was totally for information, and we can, thank you very much, and we can move to the motion to adjourn committee of the whole.
Yep, that's accurate, Mary D.
Okay, thanks.
So it's moved by Maureen Couture, seconded by Jerry Glover, that this council adjourn at Committee of the Whole adjourned at 5:49 p.m. Edie,
Yes.
Glover,
Yes.
Haight,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Ropel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Is that Donna? Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Couture,
Yes, it's Jennifer.
Kyler.
Okay.
Yes.
And the motion carried. So we're adjourned from Committee of the Whole, and we have matters arising from Committee of the Whole. So, Jen?
So moved by Jerry Glover, seconded by Bill Stewart, that the Digital Transformation Strategy Perry Group Consulting Limited Proposal Acceptance Bylaw be deemed to be read a first, second, and third time, finally passed and numbered as Bylaw 2021-02.
Any further discussion? Okay. We'll have the vote.
Glover,
Yes.
Haight,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Ropel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Sorry, Jen. Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Couture,
Yes.
Kyler,
Yes.
Edie.
Yes. And the motion carried. Are there any more matters arising, or was that it? Okay, good. So we'll move to members of council general announcements. And tonight we'll start with Councillor Kennedy.
No, nothing for me tonight. You're good. Thanks.
Okay, Councillor Haight.
It's really a shame Donna's not here. So I'm just raising my glass to Donna McDougall, and this would have been your last council meeting. Sorry you missed it. Wasn't that sly of you to get out of it. So enjoy your retirement, Donna McDougall.
Good. Well, hopefully we'll be able to celebrate in the future a little better. Okay. And Councillor Ropel.
Yes, it was nice to hear the Premier of the province telling us in the rural area that we can now go to step 3, and that other parts that are have caused us grief are still locked up in stage 2. So that was a bonus today. The other one is Roxana still aboard?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Roxana, I have an issue that I need to talk to you about. Could you give me a call tomorrow morning?
Sounds good.
Yes, I will. I will enthrall you with the message or the mess that I have. So again, that's it. I thank you, and everybody stay safe. There are better days ahead. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Randy. Councillor Stewart.
Good luck, Roxana, with Randy's call. I'll pass.
Councillor Glover.
I don't have much. I just want to say that I'm going to miss Donna. I've had a good relationship with her for the past 11 years. In the past 2 years on council as a policy chair of some overlapping portfolios with her department, and looking forward to the future. And glad stage 3 has or phase 3 has been opened, so that way we could celebrate Donna and those other recent retirees. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Jerry. And Councillor Couture.
I would say the same thing. I'd like to thank Donna for her many years of great service. And maybe if we have a special council meeting before she goes, she might be in on it. Who knows? But I do hope that we can celebrate something under stage 3, which would be great. And also to look forward to getting the order for the masks, and please use them, people. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Maureen. Councillor Kyler.
No, everybody has said everything that I want to say anyway, so I won't hold anybody up. I was late, and that was enough. Everybody stay safe.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Wilson.
Yes, I had an opportunity to be in the downtown on Friday and Saturday during the sort of peak shopping times, and I have to say it was a great experience. There were a lot of people down there on Saturday. I spoke with one of the merchants who was saying that as far as they were concerned, they didn't really think they could handle a whole lot more in terms of numbers, and they were very pleased with the way things were going. But it was extremely busy, lots of people going to the different shops and trying some of the, there were some food booths, etc. So it was really kind of just really encouraging to see the patios busy and to see some of the retail stores that we know have suffered because of COVID-19 and to see them busy. And it was a really great experience to be there and part of it. So I encourage everybody to continue to support our local people. Also, I just want to add my voice to the comments that have been made about Donna. I worked with her for many, many years prior to being on council. And I mean, a nicer, more experienced, smarter, professional person, I don't think you could find anywhere. I mean, bend over backwards to help you out. And I think we're all really going to miss her. And I know I'm certainly going to.
Okay, thank you, Marie. I echo your comments about our clerk as well. And I did want to point out one more thing that some of you might be interested in, or you might know some people that are interested in this. And so the museum in the county of Bruce, some of you maybe know about it, but they're encouraging people to write up your experiences about COVID-19, and they're calling it the Chronicling Community Experiences Project. And you can look online for information, but I'll just give you a top level view. And it is to encourage individuals, families, businesses, and organizations with a connection to Bruce County to collect and record their experiences and observations during this time of COVID-19. And when ready, donate them to the museum in whatever form is comfortable for them, such as written stories, memories, journals, photographs, video, and audio recordings. So far, the museum has received a good response, but they'd like to get the broad picture because this is a historic happening, and they want to make sure they have it from the Bruce County angle and have it in our archives for the next 100 years. We had our last big, huge pandemic about 100 years ago, and we still refer to it. So they would be really pleased if you would put one in. So far, they have some, like from grade 8, grade 10, and university students, international traveler and entertainer, and some of the business people giving their perspective, and some people reflecting on how it changed their life, their home projects they've undertaken, the good initiatives that they have done, or they've seen people do and they benefit from it. So that's just for interest, and if you have spare time, contribute to that collection, and please pass the information on to others. So, and Sharon, did you have anything for tonight? Any announcements?
Yes, I certainly did want to reiterate what members of council had said as far as Donna McDougall is concerned and how much we're going to miss her. I certainly appreciate all of the advice that she has given me, coming in as a new CAO, and the history that she has with the organization has been tremendously helpful. And, I think the best tribute to what a great clerk Donna is that she has developed such an amazing team within the clerk's department that is really going to be keeping us in good shape going forward. And I think that really speaks to what a great leader Donna is. So I do hope we can get her back so that we can all express our appreciation, but we certainly can't let this last meeting go by without acknowledging that.
Okay, thank you very much. So next we move into closed session, and I'll turn over to Jen for the motion to go into closed.
Moved by Jerry Glover, seconded by Bill Stewart, that Sharon Chambers, Chief Administrative Officer, be appointed acting clerk when necessary for the clerk to leave the meeting for the purpose of taking minutes for the July 13th, 2020 council meeting, open and closed.
Oh, okay. All right. Any discussion? Okay, I think we'll take the vote then.
Glover?
Yes.
Haight?
Yes.
Kennedy?
Yes.
Ropel?
Yes.
Stewart?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Couture?
Yes.
Kyler?
Yes.
Edie?
Yes. And the motion carried. And next, the motion then to formally go into close.
So moved by Randy Ropel, seconded by Laura Haight, that council move into closed meeting for the purpose of considering advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, legal matter, and labor relations or employee negotiations, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. And sorry, that's a human resources matter. And considering a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality acquisition of land pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended, and further that council return to regular open meeting upon completion.
Okay, we'll take the vote now.
Haight,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Ropel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Couture,
Yes.
Kyler,
Yes.
Edie,
Yes. And
Glover.
the motion. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, Jerry. I thought I was last. So now we traditionally take a break before we go into close because we have to set up differently. So we'll take a short break and then we'll be back for closed.